Welcome everyone to today's special Keptn webinar, Developer Experience GitOps with Keptn. I've asked Thomas, who is driving all of our GitOps initiatives with Keptn, to come back and do a webinar specifically focusing how GitOps with Keptn really feels for the developer. Thomas, I'll leave it over to you because I know you have a lot of great, cool live demos to show.
Okay, so hello, Andy. Thanks for having me here. My name is Thomas. I'm a principal and Dynatrace and a maintainer. And today I'll show you something about our GitOps approach in Keptn. So what were our initial challenges? So we got the feedback that users want to deliver software and not learn Keptn. So they don't want to put in many imperative commands. So they only want to check in some code and want to use Keptn with this. And yes, so we come directly to the demonstration today. So let's switch over to the shell. After Git repository is set up, we can initially trigger all of that with a simple kubectl command. So let's say kubectl apply -f and demo. And on the other hand, we see that our Keptn instance is pretty empty at the moment. And in a few seconds, we should get a new project.
And also maybe for a reference, this is a special hosted version of Keptn from Dynatrace. It's called Cloud Automation, but essentially what you are showing here is the same, whether you're hosting Keptn open source yourself or whether you're using the Dynatrace enterprise version, which we call Cloud Automation.
Mm-hmm. So in the background, our reconciliation loop is running, and it might be that it takes some seconds until this project comes here. And we see that we got a potato head project in here. So what happened at the moment? We prepared a repository which includes all of the configuration we need for Keptn. So we specified some kind of an instance. So where is our Keptn instance and how can you connect to this? We also specified our project, like how is our project called and how can we connect to the upstream repository. Also, we defined some sequences. So we defined everything what should happen when we trigger a new deployment, such as we configured our monitoring, we deployed it, we tested everything, and afterwards we evaluate everything. And we specified our service, so in this case, the potato head, and we specified that we want to have a Keptn service, which is called potato head, which belongs to the project potato head, and we need the event artifact delivery triggered to deploy this. And at the same step, we also defined the Keptn service deployment itself, which tells Keptn that the version 002 of the potato head should be deployed now.
Could you zoom in just a little bit on the browser? I think it will just help a little bit for the next file you show.
If it works.
If it works. Control plus, just to give you a hint. At least that's how it works on my machine.
Okay, is it better now?
It's better, thank you.
Perfect. Okay, so this was the service deployment itself, and we defined 3 stages here. So we have a dev, a hardening, and a production stage. And if we take a look on the cloud automation or Keptn again, we should see that in our instance, we got our service potato head, and our sequence for delivering the potato head is triggered now. So we got a promotion event, we got a monitoring will be configured, and so on. And this might be the way how it feels like for developers. So in further consequence, everything will be deployed, everything will be tested, and so on. And after some time, everything will be finished. Okay, some questions from you, Andy.
Yeah, I got a question. So can you go back to the Git repository, please?
Yes, just a second. Let's take this one. Mm-hmm. Okay.
So if you could go to the what you showed us earlier, exactly. So just that I understand, the only thing I really need as a developer, obviously somebody will, potentially help me in the initial setup of all of this, but it's all COD based. That means the Keptn project, the sequences, the stage, the services, and then the individual files like my Helm charts, my test files, my SLIs and SLOs. This is also all here in the Git repo, I think under the base and under the stages directory, correct?
Okay, yes, yes, there are two directories here. So there is a base directory, which includes all of the files and configurations you need in every stage for a particular service. So for the service potato head, we have specified our dynatrace configuration, we have specified our Helm chart, job configuration, K6 configuration, and so on. And this might be the same for every stage. And we have a second directory, which is the stages directory, which includes all of the configuration which should override the base for the particular stage. Mm-hmm. So if you have to change some values in the values file, you can change this in the stages, and then it will be merged to the base directory.
Mm-hmm. And if I know that currently the sequence is running to deploy this particular version of Potato Head, I think it was version 0.2 or something like this. Yes. If I would now want to deploy the next version, the only thing I need to do is I just need to update my CRD to a different version, and that's it.
So you have to change two things. At first, you have to change the metadata file in the artifacts directory, so in the base directory, to the version 003. Mm-hmm. This tells the Keptn upstream repository that there is a new version of the artifacts. And if you only change this version, nothing happens. So it gets only committed to the upstream. And when you change the version in the service file, so when you change the version here, then it gets updated. Mm-hmm. And so you can simply stage your changes, mm-hmm. and afterwards change them, mm-hmm. Apply them.
Mm-hmm. Cool, that's awesome. Perfect. And I think can we have a final look back at your bridge at the Keptn UI, or in our case, cloud automation, but just see what's happening there. Awesome.
So we saw that our Monaco configuration was running. So in our case, we configured our monitoring system, in this case dynatrace, to use the configuration which is in there. Then afterwards, we deployed everything. Now tests are afterwards tests were running. In my case, I used K6 for running tests of the service. Mm-hmm. And afterwards, we are running some evaluation against dynatrace. So we will get some SLIs back if SLIs against SLOs back if everything works. And I think in a few seconds or minutes, everything will be finished.
Cool. And also just to recap again, the K6S test scripts are in the repo that you've shown earlier. Also the SLI and the SLO definition is there, that is currently being evaluated. And if you have a new service, a new microservice, the only thing you need to really do is add the additional service CRD and then the deployment CRD. And from that point on, Keptn will take care of running the sequences again to then run through the same thing, configuring monitoring, deploying, testing, and then evaluating. And hopefully we can.
And one funny side fact at this point is we are using metrics which we defined in the monitoring configuration before for our SLIs. Oh, so we configured our monitoring and using them to evaluate the state of our service.
Perfect. All right, then let's hope that we can still wait as long as until the evaluation is actually complete. I know the screen only refreshes every 30 seconds, I believe. So maybe let's do it one more time. Almost there.
And sometimes it takes a bit longer.
Yeah. Is there anything else from a development perspective that you've worked with a lot of teams that are kind of starting with this? Are there any other questions that people have?
What's pretty funny is sometimes I get the question if this can be split in different repos. Mm-hmm. So it might also be the case that you want to specify the project and service configuration in one repo, and the service the service deployment configuration in other repos. And yes, this is also possible. So you can split whatever you want in different repositories, and the operators will take care of that everything is runs in the correct order. What happened in the meanwhile? So our evaluation got finished. We can also take a look on our SLIs. So we see that we got no errors. We see that our response time was as we expected in our SLOs, and everything is running fine. And now the same process runs in the next stage. So now we are on the second stage, in the hardening stage, and this will go through until production in this case. And yes, that's the way it should be.
Cool. And last question that I have here, the promotion step. This is really the step where the version information, the configuration information is kind of applied from dev into hardening, I would assume. Is that the promotion step?
Yes, that's the step which brings the Keptn upstream repository in a state that everything is consistent, and that exactly this version we want to deploy is present for Keptn. So one thing our approach allows is also that you can roll back and so on. So you can also deploy the last version again and so on. So, and the promotion step ensures that Keptn has always the information it needs.
Cool. All right, I think we'll let this run, but we can see it's really multi-stage sequences. It's currently deploying in hardening, and then it continues depending on how you specified your sequences. I assume it will eventually make it into production.
Yes, it looks good.
It looks good. It's awesome. Anything else that we need to wrap this up?
Yes. So if you need some more background to all of this, we had a Keptn user group around 2 weeks ago, where I also talked about some background regarding this and gave some more information. And yes, if you want to try it out, feel free to do so. So everything is running on Git. You can try it out, post issues if you find some. If you want to make something better, I think I will approve also almost every PR. And yes, there are also Google Summer of Code projects for that. So if you want to step in open source development and so on, make your proposal, and yes, I would also be glad to work with you. And last but not least, just share your thoughts. So you can ping me on the Keptn Slack, and there is also a channel for that in the Keptn GitOps operator working group channel.
Awesome. Thomas, thank you so much for doing this, because I think it was really nice, concise, and really showing how this feels for a developer if everything is set up. And as you said, if people want to know more, there's a lot of ways that they can help you and come back to you and ask questions or give feedback.
Yes, thanks for having me.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.